I do recommend that people get magnesium in multiple ways. So when you're taking a supplement, any supplement, whatever you take orally is going to be managed by the bloodstream. It's inside out, and the bloodstream is going to have control of how that nutrient is distributed. And generally speaking, your organs are going to get first kick at the can. To some extent, your brain secondarily, but like musculature, if you have things like leg cramps and stuff, the muscles are getting like at the end. The organs are going to get it first. So if we take some orally and we get some by Epsom salt soaks or magnesium flake soaks or these kinds of things, then we're getting it from outside in. That means the tissues here get it first, and then it goes through, and whatever's left over goes into the bloodstream. It's not like the rest of the body won't get access to that magnesium, but the musculature and the skin is going to get access to it first. That can be a real advantage if you've got problems at the level of the muscles. And a lot of us can have cramps, and a lot of us can have poor resilience to exercise. And some of that can be related to electrolytes. So if we're getting some from the outside in, we're kind of covering all our bases. And note, we can do some really interesting things with targeted dosing of minerals to the surface of the body. So if you've never heard this from me before, I used magnesium oil, which is magnesium chloride, to help address problems with my thyroid. And what I did was I put that magnesium oil here. Why? Thyroid's right underneath there. So once it gets through the skin, who's going to get first kick at the can? Well, it's this area is going to get the first kick at the can. And I was having lots of problems with my thyroid. It was low. I didn't seem to be converting from T4 to T3 well. I had a functional med guy who was trying me on all kinds of things. I just started desiccated thyroid, and somewhere in that time period where I just started desiccated thyroid, I actually kind of accidentally put magnesium oil on my throat. And honestly, the truth of the matter is I was putting magnesium oil after showers because I was a busy mom of young kids at that point, and a bath was not always going to happen. So I was using the magnesium oil. I was generally putting it on my abdomen and on my back because I found that my skin got less irritated if it was covered by material, because magnesium oil can be a little bit drying. So here I was, I'd slathered myself up, and I still had some magnesium oil in my hand. And I looked at it and I kind of humphed at myself and then I thought, I'm just going to get rid of this. And I did this. Seriously, this was the least scientific thing I've ever done in my entire life. I just got rid of it on my neck. I had really obvious symptoms from thyroid dysfunction. Like there were certain times of the day where it would really dip and I'd feel cold and I'd have no energy. And like I would lay down and not be able to sleep because I was too cold to be able to sleep. It was sort of nutty. So here I am going about my day, kind of waiting for the afternoon lull to hit me. And I had no afternoon lull. And then I was like, what did I do today? So something good happened. I went, oh, I put that magnesium on my throat. Well, the afternoon low, when my temperature started to drop and my energy started to drop, came later than usual. So instead of dropping at 1, I was dropping at 4, which was a bit of a problem because working from home and my kids were going to need supper and I was on deck. And what I did was when I noticed that I was starting to feel cold, I went, well, let's try that magnesium oil again. So I slathered some on my neck. Son of a gun, about a half an hour, the temperature drop had resolved. My energy level had sort of smoothed out again. And I was in the midst of making supper, thinking to myself, gotcha. I know what that is. Somehow this is working. So I started to try and get out in front of my thyroid symptoms. And so for a short time, I was using, several sprays of this magnesium oil on my throat, like 5 to 6 times a day. Because as soon as I would feel that temperature drop, I'd go, nope, magnesium oil. Temperature drop, nope, magnesium oil. And I actually kept it by my kitchen sink so I could use it wherever I needed to. Long story short, went back to the endocrine guy. I'd had my blood work done. I figured I was going to get some kind of a lecture because I was not taking the medication. And I had no idea what my blood values were going to look like, but I knew I felt better. He's like celebrating as he walks in the room. He's got my paperwork in front of him and he's going, this is great. We finally got your medication right. Your values are better than they've ever been. And I looked at him. I said, I'm not taking the stuff. He sat down. He did this over his glasses at me and he said, what are you doing? So I explained this whole magnesium thing and he said, I don't know why it's working, but keep it up because this is the best blood test you've had in years. So I've since found out that magnesium helps to convert T4 to T3, and that's your active form of thyroid hormone. So getting some more magnesium here. Plus, it also turns out that your thyroid uses chloride and that chloride cell transporters can also move oxalate. So when I was providing magnesium chloride here, which is what magnesium oil is, the thyroid was also getting this chloride and potentially able to get that in, do its work properly, get oxalate out. So at 48, I was on desiccated thyroid, and at 63, I'm not. So just a little bit on, why this magnesium in multiple forms is kind of my favorite. And in terms of how much I recommend, honestly, I think the RDAs are too low for most people. Although if you're very small or very thin, keep it in mind, you may not need as much. But my clients are regularly on 450 to 700 milligrams of magnesium, and that's mostly women. I don't have a predominance of men in my practice. I have a predominance of women. So we can be well above what we think might be okay. I don't worry about magnesium though, because the body has good ways to get rid of it. If it's too much, we're not at any risk of toxicity.